Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Outrageous Pen 6920 from the Am I Wrong subreddit that says, "Am I the asshole for not getting my daughter a car after she publicly disrespected me?" So last week, me, my wife and 2 kids went out to the zoo for my daughter's 23rd birthday. We were having a great time. While leaving an enclosure, some woman sort of cut us off and pushed in front of us to get out first. She didn't actually touch us and it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was a little obnoxious. And I said, "There's no need to push ahead, love." She responded with something like, "How did I push ahead? It's not like there's a queue." I just tutted and thought, whatever, not worth it. But then some giant guy who was apparently her son, I didn't realize this because they look very different, i.e. she was white and he was mixed, not that it matters, said to her, "What, does someone have a problem, mum?" And she pointed me out. Her son turned around and started aggressively antagonizing me for no reason, telling me to keep my comments to myself, called me a bitch, a Karen, and kept calling me tiny, saying I had little man syndrome. Just really off the wall stuff for what I thought was a benign comment. Then for some reason my daughter, 22 female, felt the need to take up for this guy and started saying stuff like, "Why are you like this? Why'd you feel the need to say something?" And then started apologizing to the guy and agreed with him that I'm a Karen, and I was really taken aback by this. Then the guy asks how old she is and she tells him and asks for a number, and she gives it to him. He hands his phone over to her and she types in a number. Whole time this guy is staring at me with a shit-eating grin on his face. When my daughter comes back over to us, I ask her what the hell was that, and she just says, "What? He's cute and you need to be put in your place every once in a while." I said since that's what she thinks, she can buy her own car for her birthday. She clearly thought I wasn't serious because when she asked if we can look at cars, and I told her she can look herself because I'm not paying for it. This has divided my house, with my son taking my side, saying she was out of line, and my wife saying it's not worth ruining my relationship with her over. I feel like if not getting a car as punishment is enough to ruin her relationship with me, then I probably spoiled her too much anyway. She already has a car that I bought her 2 years ago which works fine, so it's not like I'm exactly depriving her. Am I the arsehole? I'm at work on my lunch break right now, so can't really reply. I've skimmed the comments and will address a few things I feel relevant. The car I bought her 2 years ago was a runaround Fiat 500, second hand. It's in fine shape, but not exactly the nicest car. I'd promised my daughter an Audi as my son is going traveling for his 21st birthday, which I am paying for. The car she wanted was roughly the same cost. She doesn't live at home. She hasn't since she moved out for uni at 18. I don't feel like I am a Karen, but I'm not shy to speak up and complain if I feel I must. If people are rude or something is not up to my standard, I will happily say something. I realistically couldn't beat up the 6'4" or whatever 20-something-year-old mouthing off to me. I'm 47 years old and I've worked an office job for the last 20 to 30 years and have a bad back. And we're starting the comments with Van Gogh 1853 who says, "Not the asshole. She's not a kid. She can buy her own damn car. When she comes crying to you when this relationship she pursued over respecting you crumbles, she won't be getting sympathy from you. If she was so concerned, she could have said something to you in private. She sounds very immature." Miss Bobby Dole says, "Nope, she risks her relationship with you because this guy was cute. If she had a good sense, she'd know that the guy only cared to get back at you. Does she think she's going to bring him to your house now? She's old enough to know better." Silver Money says, "Not the arsehole, and frankly your wife is being an arse as well. You didn't ruin your relationship with her, she ruined hers with you. Does your wife even know what really happened, or just whatever twisted version of events your daughter actually deigned to tell her? Either way, good luck OP." A few hours later, OP comes back in to update the post and says, "So I got home about an hour ago, and my wife called me into the room to talk. She gave me an ultimatum. She said I can either swallow my pride and buy my daughter the car, or she will buy the car out of her own money. My wife doesn't earn as much as me, but still has a well-paying job and can afford it. She said that everyone is sick of my attitude in public, that every time we go out I get in some sort of altercation or disagreement with someone over some petty shit. I think this is a gross over-exaggeration, but my wife showed me text from my daughter asking if she can go out with just my wife because I always do something to embarrass everyone. My wife refused and defended me, saying that's not true. And that's why when I got into an argument, my wife said nothing about my daughter's actions. She said she isn't going to punish my daughter because I can never keep my mouth shut. Especially when my daughter said she didn't want me there because something like this would happen, and she defended me, only to be made to look like a fool. She says that my daughter barely likes me as it is, and if I do this, I shouldn't be shocked when she stops talking to me completely. I asked my wife if all I am to my daughter is a piggy bank, and she told me to stop playing the victim. She said it's up to me what I do with my money, but my daughter will be getting the car one way or another, so I can either make her hate me for no reason, or I can swallow my pride and get her the car myself. Don't really know where to go from here. So I'll just give you the top 3 comments after that little update. So someone says, info, how often do you get into altercations with strangers? Another one says, dude can't keep his mouth shut, family hates him for it, except when the wife and daughter are financially dominating him, then it's okay. That's when he tends to keep his mouth shut. And one more that says, no one in this family sounds likable. Maybe the son, but that's because he's talked about the least. Hope he sounds like he gets into enough issues in public that they are fed up. Wife isn't on the same page with him marriage-wise and is making ultimatums. And most important of all, the daughter is 23, living at home and openly asking out guys to mess with her dad and wants a new car after getting one 2 years ago. They all sound like the kind of spoiled rich family where everyone was born with a silver spoon in their mouth and they still manage to find petty reasons to hate each other. Opie then comes in with another update and says, sorry I didn't respond, a lot has happened yesterday. After everything, I called my daughter over because I wanted to talk about everything. My wife said to just let it go, but clearly everyone had a problem with me that I didn't know about, so I wanted to get to the bottom of it. So I waited for my son to get home. My daughter drove around a little later. We all sat down and decided to talk. I started by doing what many of you suggested and asked for actual examples rather than just accepting their word for it. And honestly, a lot of it sounded ridiculous. The fact that I sent back a steak twice because both times it was undercooked, as if it's a crime to want a £180 steak cooked correctly. The fact that I argued with someone who sat in our assigned seats at a cinema, even though it was nearly empty. Again, as if it's a crime to want to sit in the seat I paid for, where there's dozens of other places for these people to sit. And other equally silly things which I can't be bothered to get into and don't even really remember as a result of the insignificance of it. Despite me thinking that it was all ridiculous. I said I would do my best to be a meek pushover in public if that was the only way to get them to like me, and that I would get a car on one condition, that my daughter hadn't actually texted the guy who abused me. I asked to look at her messages and she said not to even bother because she had texted him and I didn't have the right to control who she talks to. I said that is true, but I do have the right to spend my money on whatever I want, and I'm not getting my daughter a car. She has one that works fine, and even if I am an ass, in a situation where a family is getting threatened, she sided with the aggressor and then doubled down on that, and that is unforgivable. My daughter blew up at me and said that I am a petty little pig-headed man with a Napoleon complex, and that all the money in the world hasn't stopped me from being a fucking loser. I said, oh yeah, because the guy who screams at old men is such a winner. And she screamed at me that I'm not a victim, and then something about how cathartic it was to watch someone stand up to me. And that how the second he did, she watched me shrink back into the little bitch I'd always been growing up. That was the last straw. I told her to get out, but she doubled down and told me that my wife had told them about me being bullied growing up, and that's why I am the way I am. I saw my wife turn pale as a ghost at this comment. This is something I confided in her in private. Clearly, this is why my daughter stopped respecting me. Obviously, I wasn't cool enough for her or whatever. I was speechless, but my daughter carried on. She said, make a genuine promise to Jake that he can go to Cambodia and ask him what he really thinks. I just nodded. My brother begged not to be put in the middle of this, but I insisted. All he said was, sometimes you can be a bit much, Dad. My daughter called him a pussy and just walked out. My son ran off to his room and my wife drove off after my daughter. She didn't come back last night. I've not heard from my wife or daughter since. I called out of work. My son left for university without saying a word to me. I barely slept a wink. Can't believe it. I'm a cliche. A rich old man whose family hates him. If I was lost before, now I'm genuinely clueless about what I'm supposed to do. And we do have another update to this post in a moment, but the comments on that one says, your self-perception isn't in line with reality. And I think the way you're viewing these interactions is very different from what they look like from the outside. The fact that you consider choosing your battles to be acting as a meek pushover is very revealing. You don't have to react to every little thing, and it sounds like you do. Behavior like that is immensely stressful for the people around you. Another commenter says, especially if you have three all saying you have a problem. You probably do. Another says, see a therapist. You may have some underlying issues here, but your family isn't innocent. Get a therapist to weigh in on this. Clearly your wife betrayed your trust, and your daughter is a 23-year-old entitled child that you are responsible for. Go to therapy, make it a family therapist, and get actual help. OP says, I don't believe in therapy. I didn't need it then, and I don't need it now. I don't need to pay some random person £200 an hour to tell me it's wrong to stand up for myself. And G says, everyone sucks here. Your daughter is too spoiled. She doesn't know the value of money and acts so entitled it hurts my brain. You raised a chav, and when she met another one got so happy and got his number. Who the fuck gets a stranger's number after they belittled their parent? A chav. You also have some issues and recommended therapy. There are situations when you need to make a fuss and some that you need to ignore and let go. Embarrassed because you returned twice a steak, £180 steak. I want to see the cow CV for that money. OP says, if I go to a flat earth convention and say the world is round, does that magically make me wrong? Or am I just in a room full of idiots? The OP comes in with another update and says everyone has been asking for an update, so here it is. Though there isn't really much to tell. My daughter blocked me everywhere since she left. I did go to reach out, but she saw she had blocked me. I haven't heard anything since. My wife is staying with her parents and is refusing to come home unless I agree to individual therapy and family therapy, which I'm still refusing because I feel it is a waste of time. I know myself and I know my mind, so where I like to complain sometimes, that doesn't make me mentally ill. My son and I are probably the biggest update, I guess. We are falling out hard. He's blaming me for tearing the family apart by being stubborn. He says I drove my daughter away, and I drove my wife away, and I'm going to drive him away too, unless I try to make it right with everyone. He's mainly mad at me for refusing my wife's demands for therapy. He's still living at home, as it is close to his university, but he says that if I'm not at least trying to make it right by the time he finishes, he will leave and not look back. It turns out the reason his sister called him a pussy is that he actually agrees with her more than he let on. He says that I'm a bully, that I bully and get condescending and rude to people in public, and then play the victim if anyone calls me out on it. He says I'm rude to everyone, everywhere I go, and that I'm rude to everyone at home too. He says that I lord my money over people, and that if anyone disagrees with anything I do, I take it away. He said my daughter hasn't liked me since she was 16, and that she always talked about escaping me. He said she never expected me to actually go through with getting the car because she knew I'd snatch it away the first time she did something I didn't like. Apparently, the whole thing was a test. She had made it clear to everyone that if I did in fact snatch the car away, at the last second, she planned to never speak to me again. My son knew this, my wife knew this. That's why my wife was so adamant on me getting the car for my daughter. That's why my daughter was so upset about me not getting it, because in her mind, that was me finally killing the relationship. He also told me that my wife has defended me for years and years, and that she didn't betray my trust, but she told the story of my upbringing to try and stop him and my sister from hating me. He said my daughter has openly said she should leave me for years, and that my wife always told her off for that, but now I finally pushed her away too. He admitted he never thought she would ever actually leave me, but said that he's proud of her for standing up to me finally. He also said that he doesn't care if I take away his birthday trip, that he wants me to fix the family, and that is more important than some holiday. I've decided I'm not going to take away his holiday, as that would probably just give them even more ammo against me. But I'm also not doing therapy. They may need therapy, I don't. I'm fine with who I am. I like myself, even if they don't. That's basically it. I don't understand how you can be so stubborn in this story, like the whole therapy thing. Your whole family's telling you, you need to go to therapy if you want any sort of connection with us. You're still like, nope, I like myself. They might need it, but I don't. And choosing this hill to die on, like just having no family, no one wanting you around, and seemingly seems to be happy with it. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is from Sweet Cherry Pies from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It does have like a kind of update with edits as such. And it says, am I the arsehole for not telling my boyfriend I won money 15 years ago? I don't know what I did wrong or if what I did is wrong and I need some advice. I didn't want to post this on my real account because I'd like to be as anonymous as possible. My boyfriend, 35 male, and I, 35 female, were discussing finances as we wanted to be on the same page. My boyfriend moved in with me unexpectedly 3 months ago as his landlord decided to move into the property with his family. We were discussing finances and the topic of how I own my place came up. I explained I won some money. Not a lot, but enough to be able to put myself through nursing school, purchase my home and have some savings. Back in 2009 and bought my place outright and then rented it out until I moved back into it in late 2018. Obviously, I had some luck on my side as this was right in the middle of the recession, so I got my place for real cheap. He says I deceived him by giving him the impression that I was financially well off and that I led him to believe I was more business savvy than I was. I don't know how I did that because I literally work as a nurse, make decent money, fully own my home, fully own my car, have decent retirement plans and decent savings. I'm fairly certain that I'm financially better off than most people I know. He says that he can't trust me anymore, that he was stupid to have listened to my financial advice, but the thing is, I never gave him any financial advice except for telling him not to buy a car that was in my opinion unreliable and much too expensive. Did I deceive him by not telling him how I got myself financially stable? For your information, we've been dating for almost a year and a half. Not the arsehole to me, and I just feel like you've done absolutely nothing wrong in this situation. You've taken that money and you've invested it wisely into property and you spent it wisely on your home, your car and your retirement plans and savings. And it's given me major red flags that he's upset about this. And the fact that he's saying that he can't trust you anymore and was stupid to listen to your financial advice when it sounds like it was good financial advice, to be fair, is a huge concern for me. And the fact is, I would switch that around. If someone said this to me, I'd be looking the other way, that I can't trust them after what they've said. That feels like he's after some kind of free ride and expecting you to be richer than you was and was relying on that in some form. Aramura says, not the arsehole. This feels like jealousy on his part, so he's lashing out. Out of interest, how long have you two been together? Because this kind of information can take a while to disclose. If you were together when you won the money and hid it from him, that might be a different argument. Also, you are financially savvy because you got a windfall and didn't waste it. Well done you. Opie says we've been together almost a year and a half. I didn't even know him when I won my money. Thank you. Extras says, not the arsehole, and I see a lot of red flags here. It sounds like you were very responsible about how you spent your windfall, securing yourself a home, paying for your education, and putting the rest aside in savings. I'm not sure what about that he's questioning. My concern is that he might have thought you were very wealthy and was hoping you would be a sugar mama. Is he only in this for the money? Archetyping says, not the arsehole. Thank God you found this out right now. I'd make him an ex-boyfriend and kick him out. Don't want him to start laying claims to your home's equity after he lives there too long, depending on state and provincial laws on common law partners. He's jealous. He also likely thinks that you are his meal ticket. He's angry over nothing reasonable. 1.5 years isn't very long, and you don't owe someone the whole, I bought this house because I got money from X, blah blah blah. And one final comment from Game Dev who says, not the arsehole. Sounds like he is insecure because you make more and or have more success than him. He's putting you down to make himself feel better. Nurses make bank. They work hard hours and are compensated accordingly. Simply ask him, knowing how you probably earn 100k per year and another 30 to 40k in overtime, if he believes you could own your home without your prior luck. Because unless it's some mansion, buying anything in the recession was cheap, and as I stated, you likely make bank. If he feels like you don't deserve your home because of some chance and luck and couldn't afford it, offer to move into his comparable home he purchases. Honestly, I don't think he recognizes your success, and I think you need a long chat about it over a bottle of wine or 3. He can either be proud of you and drop it, or he can be single. OP says, I earn a bit over 200k, and with overtime I earn more. I also know I could buy a fairly decent place now if I wanted, and I base it on my colleagues who purchased their homes in the past few years. But you're right, I'm definitely going to ask him this. I was just taken aback by his response to me sharing things with him that I was genuinely perplexed on what I did to cause such an argument. So OP came in to edit the post and says, I just had another very weird conversation with him and I honestly can't wrap my head around it. Yeah, so he's definitely a gold digger. He asked me how much I have in savings and seemed impressed with how much, and then said maybe he reacted too aggressively. Then asked and told me that he still wants the car I advised him not to get. He hinted at me getting it for him as a birthday present since it's his birthday in early March. I'm definitely dumping him. Going to wait till my 2 sisters and my 2 brother-in-laws can come over before I break up with him in case he reacts crazy. Edit 2. He's jealous and also resentful. He's ranting about how he would have tripled the money if he had won it. Edit 3. He's saying that the money is wasted on me because I don't make it make money. Apparently, I should have been invested my savings in high-yielding stocks and other shit. For your information, I do get financial advice from a financial advisor I trust, but I am a risk-averse person, so I would never invest in the manner this idiot is telling me. Sure, the chance to get a lot of money is there, but so is the chance to lose. Edit 4. He's now on a crazy rant because I suggested we take a break from this argument because I don't want to ruin my few days off. My god, I can't believe how he's behaving. He thinks he's so clever, but I am thoroughly disgusted. Oh, it's absolutely over between us. Edit 5. Okay, so I understand him better now. So my house, the property it's on, is what led him to believe I was much richer than I am. He assumed I was loaded, so telling him I actually got lucky pissed him off. Then when he found out how much in savings and assets I have, he perked up and had a change of mind. He's now telling me that with just a quarter of my money, he can show me how to invest on the stock market and make real money. Oh, he is genuinely deluded. Get that guy out of there ASAP. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.